Okay, everybody, you know what time it is. First of all, it's time for the Backyard Gardens podcast. And second of all, it's time to talk about fall. I think it's time, Batavia, to really ramp up the fall growing discussion. What say you?
Oh, we're already in the middle of it, but sure.
Yeah, I think this is the point where we really need to get into the nitty gritty. You know, it's the end of July. So, fair warning for everything when it comes to gardening and all that stuff. We will get
Unless
you.
you're in a place that's super hot, so hot where you've really not even been able to garden during the summer season, like that's all you have left is to start planting for fall,
Yeah,
really.
that's the daggone truth. But before we do that, let's get this out of the way. Welcome back to the Backyard Gardens podcast. I am your host, Ben, and I am with my co host, Miss Batavia, and my other co host, The Bell. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so by becoming a patron, an Apple subscriber. You can join us on YouTube, give us a like, a subscribe. And you know what? Today, share this episode with a friend who wants to grow a fall garden. Post it on your social media, what have you. Just help us out that way. We have an Amazon list below, which our question of the day will reference. So come check that out. We will get a very, 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 very small portion. And also come buy some seeds from us. If you buy 2 packs of seeds or more, you will get a free pack of seeds from us. So come do that. Link is below for all that good stuff. Ready?
Ready.
Bingo bango. Okay. Before we do anything else, I think we need to say, you and I and a lot of people who've been listening to us for a while know that there's definitely an order in which we plant our gardens. But why are some of these plants needing to go into the garden earlier? You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
full disclosure, neither one of us know right now what we're going to say about the earliest plants to go in. So we keep these a secret from ourselves. It kind of helps with the drama, you know what I mean? So but why do you,
Drama in a garden podcast?
ah,
Okay.
look, we're trying to break barriers here. You know what I mean? uh, look, it's a hot day, man. I'm close
Mm,
to a heat stroke, so I'm going to hydrate while you talk.
I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, there is always a little bit of drama when it comes to our garden podcast.
Yeah,
There
especially with
is
me and
that.
you.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I think, it's closer to planting things close together. You know how we talk about in the spring and in the summer, you're not necessarily just going out one day and planting it all. That's very true for spring, right? There's a progression and there's a progression for fall, but I think it's much more condensed and getting kind of the vegetables and things in right in the air quote proper order. I think it's critical for fall gardening.
Yeah. um, well, let me ask you this: do you in any season go out and just do a mass planting all at once, or is it really a step up game for you?
Um, I for summer I do like over the course of 2 or 3 days planting my main crops of things. And then it's all of the stragglers, all of the starts that I still have left over that are on my back porch, me trying to fit in what I'm gonna do and where I'm gonna put them. Um, Spring, no, I'm like things are trickling in as far as when
Yeah.
I'm getting them planted. And then fall is probably it has been worse than that as far as like how spread apart my planting dates are.
Right.
So no, for none of the seasons I'm not never doing it in a single day ever.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I remember before I got into seed starting and everything, I would go out and it would just be plant everything. I mean, I would go out there and I would plant all of it at once.
So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And
I mean
now,
all of the six things, right?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And it wouldn't take long. And as the years went by, my garden grew bigger and bigger. But now it's like I go out there and my planting can go over a month or two in some cases. So there's a long stretch of planting now. And ever since I did that, I've had much better results with certain crops. And it's been a lot easier on me. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this episode, because it just kind of it brings on. And also what we're doing now is we're blending summer and fall together. So we're blending those two seasons in, and then we can get them, the goal is to ideally have your entire garden be ready for a fall season at once. At one
Yeah,
time,
I
not
mean,
at once.
I wish I could like take a weekend and then plant everything for that season, right? Like I
Right.
really wish I could, but in the case of going back to spring, mostly spring, there are just some things that are it's too cold for, while there are other things where you could get out there and plant them. Peas are a good example. One of the first things out. Spinach is one of the first things out that you can sow seeds for, where it may be too cold for something else that's spring or cool weather like.
Right.
I think it's just the opposite for fall in that you're spreading things out because it could be too warm to plant a certain thing. So it's on the tail end of your fall planting versus being planted earlier.
Well, and some things just won't germinate. It'll be too
Hmm.
hot for them to germinate. So,
Yeah, which actually is an interesting discussion around direct seeding versus transplanting for fall.
on the next episode on the Backyard Gardens
Hmm.
podcast, tune in, everybody. Possibly. As long as Leonard writes it down, then that could be a
Oh, there's
possibility.
that.
Yeah.
So much for
Leonard.
that.
Yeah. Sorry, guys and ladies and gentlemen. No, and, one of the other things, too, is, and this should not be a secret, but, when you're growing into the fall season, when you're growing a cool season crop into the fall season, let me say it all correctly so we don't get any backlash. There's not a finite stop date, right? It's not like with like tomatoes or something like that where it's like, okay, frost comes, boom, it's done. This is kind of a rolling date that we're going to make, but we've got to meet that date. And the crops that take the longest to grow are going to need to go in earlier so that you can get enough growth on them so that they flourish in the right time. Because the last thing that we want to do is get those crops in the ground and have them actually growing when, getting really comfortable right when the weather gets right. We want them to kind of already be there and just be ready for that explosive growth that we want. So, there's crops that we want to get in earlier, and there's others that just, I don't want to say they don't matter, but you can definitely delay them significantly from this. And the reason why we wanted to do it, that we were very careful about the date. Very careful. So I'm in zone 8B. Okay. I don't ever mention my zone because it doesn't even matter. But that tells you how cold I get, but it doesn't tell you how hot we get. So at the time of this recording right now, it's in the 90s. When this video comes out and podcast, it's going to be in the 90s still, and it's going to continue to be in the 90s. So the reason why I bring that up is because in about 2 weeks from the airing of this podcast, there is going to be me in the garden planting. So, we want to give enough time for people to get prepared. You should have already started your seeds. If not, hopefully you can find transplants. There's a whole nother conversation about why there's a lack of transplants in the fall, but we'll get to that at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
That actually sounds like a good subscriber episode. So yeah, but there's so moving into that direction, that's why we were wanting to talk about this. So, and then we're going to give you our picks, and then at the end, in the last segment, what we'll do is we're going to talk about how to get these plants to really flourish. What steps we need to take. So, in true Backyard Gardens fashion, where modern chivalry is not dead, ladies must go first.
Carrots.
Not for me. Too hot.
Mm-hmm. So that's not one of the first things that's going out for fall for you?
Not for me. No. It'll be it'll be in wave 2 or 3. Yeah, but
That's interesting. I was just thinking to myself, should we edit this to applied to vegetables that we can grow in both of our climates. But technically, we both can grow carrots for fall.
Yeah.
It's just the timing of it all, right? So for me in the north, and again, carrots can stay in the garden once they're actually pretty mature for quite a while, going into your Octobers, Novembers, Decembers. But you have to get them into the ground and get them growing. And to Young Ben's point, getting carrots to germinate, which is going to be basically in August, is a task. It's a feat, right? But it's possible.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to August, is going to be one of the hotter months for us in Chicago in particular. And probably the last kind of big hurrah over consistent heat. And so the reason why it's more difficult, obviously, is because, the soil staying moist. It's harder to do that when it comes to one of your hotter months. But September is really pushing it, right? So I wouldn't want it to be too far into September before I start trying to first direct sow. Think about carrots, which could go up to 21 days.
Yeah.
If I'm starting that on September 1st, I get germination potentially as late as September 21st. All right, that's really cutting it close.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, August 15th plant date. And I usually pick the 15th of the month, typically, well, to start off with. So let's say it's a 90-day crop, which you and I both know is more like 100 and some change. But let's just say 90. That's August 15th to September 15th, October 15th, November 15th. So November 15th would be 90 days. So we could push that into December. So we would blow past our frost date, go into it, and then potentially we could be harvesting carrots. But the problem is it's still at that point, the sun is getting lower, so we're getting less and less sun. So we do have to combat that as well. So that's
Yeah,
kind of an issue.
that's really, really critical. And my always disclaimer is the assumption is you're planting in an optimal space. I've made the mistake of trying to, plant in a 2 by 2 foot space that's surrounded by other plants. And as low as that sun is getting, it's really not getting to that area where you've just direct seeded. So consider where you're actually planting these things, especially if they are being direct sowed. Transplants have a better chance, if you have some things you started by seed and you're actually putting into the garden. But it's still a consideration for that as well.
Yeah. All right.
But I stand by carrots.
I respect that. And, I don't think we should edit this to, across the board because that's not gardening.
Yeah.
That's not how it works, and I think in the world of gardening out there, the video that I have in mind is going to be out by the time this airs, but we've all been duped. And the people who make, the big time people who make videos and put out blogs and all that stuff, it makes a lot of people think that everything needs to go out at the same time across the country, and that's absolutely not the case by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's the farthest from that. And anytime you see something that says you need to plant these now, you don't even pay attention to it because it's not
Unless they're your neighbor.
Yeah, unless they're your neighbor. So, I want you to do this. I want you to guess what my first one's going to be.
No, I'm terrible at this.
I know. That's why I like it.
So it's too hot for the B word. Cabbage.
Oh, you're close.
Okay.
Brussels sprouts.
Oh, that's the B word.
Oh, is that the B word? I was like, what is
Yeah.
the B word? What is the B word? Yeah. So my Brussels sprouts will go in first. They are the longest crop, and I think really in my garden they're the longest crop simply because it's just the sun is so low. But at the same time, we're trying to push it a little bit earlier and earlier. So we're trying to get that into the moving in the right direction. So yeah, that will be my first crop to go in. But I say that, but there's going to be a number of crops that go in together. So, but yeah, it's a long season crop. It takes a long time. I will plant them. Last year, I think I got them in September. So I'm pushing it forward by a couple of days, and all of this is subjective to the weather. But
Mm-hmm.
I did not start harvesting them until I believe February. So they were in the ground 5 months. That's a long time.
And if you're new here or you've not been around a long while, this is one of the major differences in the two of us in our growing area. There's nothing that has a life in it in January going into February in my garden, right?
Yeah.
You know, so when we talk about, I was tempted, I was starting some seeds. Yeah, I was starting some seeds. And I went through and I saw the Brussels sprouts and I just said, you know, I'm not even gonna bother. You know, like technically it looks like, let me see, start seeds outdoors. It looks like I'm being advised that Brussels sprouts could get started somewhere between July 12th and 26th. So yesterday, or I guess maybe last week would have been, by the time this airs, the last chance to start them outside, direct sowing them. Hmm.
I
Remember,
wouldn't.
we're recording this a little bit earlier, so I still have time for that. Do you see
I,
how quickly my mind has changed? That's the problem with this gardener.
what? It didn't take much,
Yeah, man. I had completely written it off, happened to stumble across this story, and then here we are thinking about,
dude. I got a new phone, and I'm trying to get it to stop giving me notifications, and I can't figure it out. It's I don't know. It's annoying me. I hate cell phones. I hate them. Yeah. I don't know if I'd direct sow them.
yeah,
I
at
don't
this
know.
point, I'm too late. I always wonder when you're giving advice about direct sowing something and the dates compared to
Me?
transplanting them. No, just I'm
Oh,
speaking in general, right? So if you look at a direct recommended direct sowing date, a specific date or time period, is that accounting for, again, the you're not going to fry a plant, a transplant. So if this says July 12th is the first day based on your average first frost date, this is the way this is structured to sow Brussels sprout seeds? Is it anticipating that it's going to take another month before that thing really gets up to any level of size as a plant? And by then, you're going to be trying to cool off a bit. You know, so I always wonder about that. Brussels sprouts are just it's one of those things which is a condition as it relates to this list. What are you growing it for? Right? What's the progression of that particular plant? And so for Brussels sprouts to have to grow as like any other brassica, it looks like any other brassica at the beginning, then basically create a stalk of sorts and then create the buds. That's a lot of work for like the time frame we're talking about. I don't doubt that if I direct sow July 12th that Brussels sprouts would grow in my area. I mean, the internet says so.
yeah. No, I mean, so you're trying to bait me, and I'm not gonna take the bait.
Mm.
Y'all
I
are
still have like 40 minutes to work on you.
no. You might get a burst out of me, but you're not gonna get the whole thing. Um, I don't think so. I don't think um, the guidelines that are put out there are smart enough to take into account heat. I think everybody only focuses on cold. That's what I think is the main focus. Um, I'm gonna leave it at that. What's your next one? I have to leave it at that, or else this episode's gonna go 90 degrees and just keep going for 3,000 miles. We'll be knocking at your
Right. I
door
mean,
in an hour.
yeah. Listen, folks, we still have time. We still have time. I'll work on it. My next one is going to be cabbage to the point of something that needs to produce a head. I'm not just eating cabbage for the leaves. And I had a really crappy cabbage spring season.
Bro, I can't turn the
And so I am
notifications
looking
off
for
on
some
my phone.
redemption. Hmm.
I can't turn notifications off on my phone. I apologize. I know it's dinging.
No, I hear nothing. I only know about it because you're mentioning it. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe I got too much hair in my ear. So yeah, cabbage is the next one, and I've tried and stumbled on fall cabbage, yeah, a number of times. Let's just say that.
Yeah, so make it easy. That's my next one as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, cabbage in the fall. Phew, buddy, we could camp on this one for about an hour and a half, probably. It's
I love
frustrating.
the idea of cabbage for the fall based on what I know to be its storing time.
Yeah,
One, in the garden, right? So until I get to the point of like consistent hard freezes. So let's talk this through. We're not going to necessarily talk about the date. Like I plan on getting cabbage starts, assuming that they get to the point of making it outside in August. I plan on transplanting them in August, right? I've transplanted things in September and they failed. So my plan is to transplant them in August. With that in mind, I have until mid October for there to be growth. So that's a 60-day period, right? Now, the plants won't die after mid October. My average last frost date, excuse me, average first frost date is right at the end of October, November 1st, right?
right.
But when it comes to how much growth I see, I'm anticipating there is going to be little additional growth in the last couple of weeks of October. But the key with cabbage is even if I get a frost on November the 1st, on October 25th, even anywhere in between, those cabbage are okay in the garden. If I have 10 days of freezing temps, well, yeah, that's I need to pull it out. But even after I harvest it, I can pull it inside. And we talk about this all the time. I can pull it inside however many heads of cabbage I have and put them in. I have a whole refrigerator dedicated for this kind of thing. I put them in the crisper, put them in the refrigerator. That refrigerator isn't as cold as my main refrigerator, and store a few heads of cabbage for us really as long as I need. So
Well, I want
that's
you said that it would be okay. It's not going to be okay. It's going to be great when it gets cold.
you're so
Okay.
cute.
I mean, we've got to be honest here. You know what I mean? I think I think there's a lot of people in the world, and I mean, I see on the comments and stuff like that. The cold is a real fear point,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we have to be very careful about the terminology we use because you and I both know that everything that we're going to talk about today, today is going to do just fine when it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, below freezing cold, down to 26 degrees cold,
Mm-hmm.
like way cold. Like when I first noticed this, it blew my mind that some of these crops would make it as cold. And some of these crops that you don't even think, it absolutely amazed me that they would make it through those cold temperatures the way they did. I couldn't believe it. Like I don't think, are you going to put lettuce on this list, Batavia?
Um, I was probably not.
Okay.
Which was
So
was this the second or third one for me?
this was the second one, but I was just in general, like I was going to bring it up because it's not on my
Mhm,
list for today.
mhm,
But you know, that's one of the crops too that it can get cold, but it's a little bit more sensitive. But even then, like I've been very surprised by the resiliency of the lettuces and stuff like that. And some lettuces will do different than others. I understand that. And not everybody's cold is the same.
yeah,
Batavia, I think you were exactly spot on when you said we get freezing temperatures for 10 days.
mhm,
Absolutely. But you know what? You put a cover over it, and we have to mention it, even though nobody wants to do it. But if you put a cover over it, that doesn't even matter at that point. You've got to get pretty cold and have no rebound in
mhm.
temperatures the next day for it to be an issue.
Well, a couple of things. So I've been obsessed. I've talked to you about this,
You've been obsessed
like,
about a
more
lot of
than
things, but go ahead.
oh, yeah, more than anything in my personal life, which ironically, it's not necessarily my personal life, but I've been obsessed with the work that they're doing outside
Oh yeah,
with the street, right? Anyone that knows me personally knows this is, like, gonna be the top 3 thing I talk about when I talk to you, right?
and it's
In
not a lie.
large Yeah, in large part, my flower bed has been in jeopardy, but we may survive. So, anywho, I'm in Chicago. The city has its ways of doing things. So, the group that's working now are contractors. I remember this, but then I forgot. And so they're wrapping up. They're doing the curbs and the sidewalk from the street to the sidewalk. So, the sidewalk that's in between the grass that gets you from your car to the actual sidewalk, but the city does the actual asphalt. just laying the groundwork, no pun intended. So I was chatting with the guy because that's what I do, especially when you're trying to save flowers. So probably the PM for it for the contractor, and I said, "So how much longer do you all have? Like, what do you normally? You're stopping September, October? They're literally like pouring concrete." And he's like, "No, we'll go like until December." And I said, like, even with the weather, the temperature dropping, he's like, sometimes we'll have to add some cover. I'm I'm not BSing you. That's exactly what he said
Yeah.
today. And I'm just like, and it dawned on me that especially for someone that is oftentimes cold. Like I feel like, when I was in the office, I was wearing like two sweaters, a scarf, and a hat, like pretty sensitive to cooler temps. I think generally speaking, it absolutely spills into the garden. And I think for other gardeners, the assumption is it's too cold for insert these vegetables to perform. It's it being this cold, the garden season is over. No. And it took me a while to one, learn it, then two, believe it, and then three, adjust my garden plans to live happily in that space. You were with me for the last bit of that. Well, you were with me for the last two bits, the
I'll
believing
say
it.
I've been with you for a long time, so
I knew it before we met, but I didn't exactly believe it. I
yeah, I
still
know.
had many doubts,
I
and
know.
now I believe it. And I'm in the middle of adjusting.
Well,
Yeah.
and I had something beautiful to say. Oh, I'm going to make a declaration here, okay? If you listen to this podcast and you really listen and you follow what we say through the fall season, you're going to have an amazing garden. And you're going to have to trust. There's trust that's involved, right? You're going to have faith that we're not going to steer you down the wrong path. But between Batavia being in Illinois and me being in North Carolina, we got you covered. And this is nothing that we haven't done before. We've
Yeah.
gone through the struggles. I mean, look, 5 years ago, no, let me roll that back. 7 years ago, God, I hate saying that stuff. It makes me feel so old. 7 years ago,
Blessing.
I was planting my cabbage 2 seasons. I was doing a fall and a spring planting. I was planting my cabbage in April. I now plant them in January to February. And then I was planting them in October, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it in August. Okay? If that tells you anything about
Yes.
over the years how it's changed. So it's hard to believe, and it's one of those things. We talk a lot about garden planning on this show. We've got some tenets on this show that we really focus on, and I think planning is like the biggest one, if not, or one of the biggest, if not the biggest. But once, and I think Batavia sees it too, is you start planning it out right. It's not a big deal to put your cabbage in August. Like you're expecting that space to open up and it's ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a stretch. You're not out there ripping up plants like, oh no. You've got it all figured out and it's really smooth. And that's what we're
Yeah.
doing here. So I know it's a big statement, but I truly believe, and I did it last year on my YouTube channel on Sandy Bottom Homestead. I talked a lot about planning and stuff like that, and now I'm seeing the results where people are like, I did what you said and it really does work.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's one of those things where it truly does work. You just have to have the faith to do it, and you got to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let you pull me into it, but we've been trained to think a certain way by the people who want your money. Well, we're not those people.
Yeah.
I mean, look, let's be honest here. I want some money, but I think that it's better if you, as a viewer or a listener, profit off of what we say. That's
First.
how first. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we sell seeds. You want to buy seeds? Come buy seeds. Every time you watch, we make a penny, but still, if you are getting more produce and you're having a better garden and it's more productive, that is more important than trying to hustle some bull crap on the side. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we have just all been trained. I know I was. I know for a fact I was trained
Well,
to plant wrong.
the very few spaces, which is the place that he's trying to avoid heading to, and I'm just gonna drop us off right there. The very few spaces that I see that still have any kind of vegetable starts in August going into September, they're not your big box home improvement stores, right? You can get like corn stalks, you can get, mums, you can get, like pumpkins, like that's what you're going to get for fall, right? Um, the places that still have starts quite literally have the starts that they've had since the spring that just look terrible, right? And so
Why is that though? Why don't they have that stuff in those big box stores?
because the largest selling point for the growing and garden season has passed us. The majority of people, and I'm sure their sales numbers show it, they are producing these plants for sale in the spring going into summer. I quite literally go to the big box stores now as we're recording this in July and I barely see flowers anymore there
Yeah.
outside of like the flowers that were just in for, 4th of July. But vegetable starts, nope. Maybe some herbs. You know what I'm saying?
So four
Um,
words.
oh, here we go.
There is no market. Plain and simple. You know what I mean? Like the average gardener does not realize that there is a third season that they can partake in, and therefore there is
Mhm.
no market, so that stuff is not available. So how do you get that stuff available? You start the
I'd
seed.
almost argue that, and they even start to send their seed displays back too.
Yeah, which
So if you
is
notice,
infuriating
yeah.
because when they send them back is when I need to buy them.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's why we started selling seeds. That's the whole reason why we started selling seeds, because I couldn't get no damn seeds.
Like I'm walking around the garden center, like maybe they moved them inside, maybe
Yeah.
they moved them outside, maybe they moved them by the hardware section. Where in the world? Maybe they're by the employee break room.
So
Nope.
I'll give you one. Last year, it was January. And,
Mm.
January is like seed starting time here. And I go in there. I needed something. I don't know what I needed. But I went in and where I live, we got one stoplight. So I went to the Lowe's. It's like the only place around. And I said, "Where are your seeds?" And they said, "Oh, they only sent us broccoli and cabbage seeds, so we sent them all back, and we won't get any for 2 months." And I said, "You know that that's exactly what we need to be starting right now, and also you know that when you get that stuff, it's going to be too late, right?" And the
Mm.
lady literally told me, "That's not my problem. That's when they sell."
Wow. Because I mean, since we're gonna be waist deep into this tangent,
We're not.
um,
I'm stopping.
by the way, my corn, even with transplanting in June, was knee high by the 4th of July. Side note. I'm going to argue that even when we talk about the growing season for these commercial spaces, it's spring and the very early bit of summer. If you look at the calendar,
Yeah,
by the time you're at the end of June, which you've only been in summer, for like what, 10 days or something?
9 days. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the shelves are bare,
yeah,
or at least they're getting there. Let's just say that. So spring is really the time where they go kind of what to the wall,
yeah,
and so by the time we get again to August, September, but that's the reason why you look at it and say take control over what you want to grow and when you want to grow it. And the
absolutely.
best way, young Ben says this over and over again, he's absolutely right. The best way is to have access to the seeds that you want to grow so you can decide whether or not you're going to plant them, direct sowing them, start them indoors, transplant them out, start them outdoors, and seed sales, any number of those things, and not be dependent on what's in the store when you actually need it. And that goes back to the planning of it all.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that's why we're doing cabbage now. I'm changing the
Mm,
subject.
yeah. So you're next.
So it's actually, this
This
would
is
be
for.
like my 2B. So
Oh, here we
same
go.
time, broccoli.
Okay.
Yeah, broccoli. So,
Now, this is key because broccoli. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
I
go
just got
ahead. Go
excited
ahead.
about it.
Get excited.
Well, it's key because broccoli you'd think would be earlier, But the reason why it would be around where you're talking about on your list as well, as far as timing, is I want to make sure I don't get caught with it still being too hot.
That's
Broccoli
not
for me
not
is
me.
more sensitive to the heat than a cabbage would be.
So yeah, but here's the key: if my broccoli doesn't head, then
Mhm.
it sits dormant, and what invariably happens every winter is it'll rot on the plant.
Yeah.
I end up getting white mold cabbage, broccoli,
Mhm.
all both of those very susceptible to it. And all that is it's from it sitting in moisture, and it's not hot, so the moisture just sits
Mhm.
on the
Mhm.
plant and it creates it. So it's about getting the plant to size
Yeah.
and then allowing it to head in the cooling periods of the year. Now, I'm not 100% sure about this.
Mm.
I'm about 40% sure. So I want to be very clear about that before I say this. I am not so sure that your broccoli will necessarily bolt it. And let me put a preface there. If you're not stressing your plant, if you water it well, if you take measures to cool it, if you don't stress it out excessively, I don't think when it's young it's as susceptible to bolting as when it gets into the heading stage. That is totally conjecture on my part. I don't know that, and we're going to find out this year. I do think there's a little bit of a leeway in when it may be more susceptible to bolt, and that's what I want to figure out.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah.
That's why if I watch, I'm gonna screw everything up, but I'm gonna do it. The seed shelf
We're
is going.
back, baby.
We're back. Oh God. Okay. I didn't mess it up too bad. So yeah, it's one of those things. So I've got 50 seeds started. I plan for 40 to go in the ground. So that leaves me 10 to play with that will sit behind in case I get some bolting or something stupid goes on. I do have a local garden shop that will sell too, and I will go buy a 6-pack if I have to. And that's just the name of the game when you're trying these things out and testing. You know what I mean?
50 of various types of plants, right?
No, 50 broccolis is what I have going right now. I have 50 broccolis, 50 cabbages, and 42 Brussels sprouts right now. And next week I'll add probably 200 onions to it.
Okay. No
Why?
silence in podcast world. So my immediate thought, going back to the top of the
What are you going to do with
conversation,
all that?
no, like,
I
so
hate that question.
50 broccoli plants going in at the same time or in succession?
In the same time. For this time of year, no, I always plant it because they don't ever come to head all at once. They
Yeah.
never do. There's always. And the other thing too is this time of year, man, I keep sinking lower and lower in my chair as we talk. I feel, um, you know, this time of year is different than the spring. And the spring, it's kind of hectic because what'll end up happening is I'll end up cutting 10 or 12 broccoli all at once. But you're battling the bolting mechanism. But in the fall, you're not really battling the bolting. You know what I mean? So you got a little bit of time to do it. It's easier to grow this crop during that time frame, or easier to harvest it during this time frame. So that's why I'm putting in 50 or 40 broccolis all at once. I thought you were
Trying
going
to
to
look
ask me what am
now.
I going to do with my broccoli, and I hate it when people ask me that.
Um, so I'm nearing 1 month, about 25 days, with broccoli that's in the refrigerator. Now it ain't as crisp
Yeah,
as it was when I first put it
you
in
ain't
there.
raw.
Yeah, exactly. But I had some with my pasta for lunch, and I need to figure out how to work through the rest because it's not the best quality to try to freeze at this point either. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, but a month basically, I'm gonna call it, of broccoli being in the refrigerator. Again, no preservation. Of course, you can blanch it and freeze it. So yeah, I wouldn't ask you what you're gonna. I am surprised by the number of 50, and even if 30 or 40 make it in, I am still a little bit surprised by it.
Why? It's what we eat.
But
I mean, we're trying to hit 80% of our grocery bill.
yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
If you zoom out and look at it over the winter, 50 broccolis is not that much.
Well, but my point though is like, and I don't believe that all 50 heads, 40 heads, 40 to 50 heads will be ready at once, but it's going to be, if they're going in at the same time, pretty close proximity, you know. So what do you expect to harvest them over like a 2 week period at most?
A month, roughly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, a month. And then, so what you have to understand too is we'll go in and we'll do in the greenhouse after that. We'll do a small planting in the greenhouse to kind of limp through. So we'll do that as well.
It's not about 50 of a thing. It's 50 of broccoli in particular because of the shelf life of it. And again, we haven't covered off on if you'll be freezing any of it. So, but anyway, don't want to make it
I
about
don't
broccoli. Can we get to
plan.
the last?
Yeah, we got one more each.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So I think we're doing six then.
I don't know what we're doing.
Dang it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So
You want me to help you
the
out?
rest of the brassicas, right? So I have planted very successfully transplanted kale into the garden at the beginning of September.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to combine kale and collard starts.
Ooh,
That's what I'm trying to do.
collards. Damn, I had two. Yeah, I'm glad you said collards, but yeah, collards is a good one.
Yeah.
I'm not doing kale this year, I don't think.
Yeah, I know you're not the best fan of it. It's one of those weird bits how I've shifted with my, kind of dietary desires. Kale is just such a workhorse in the garden. So I enjoy it. I enjoy it always. I enjoy it raw in a salad. I enjoy juicing it. I enjoy it, maybe not. Maybe if I have collards, I'm going to prefer collards over kale, when it comes to cooking them, adding them to soup, and things like that. So I enjoy it a bunch of ways. It's not my favorite tasting green, right? Like I prefer a salad with leafy greens like regular lettuce over a kale salad any day. Now, again, I know the nutritional value of one compared to the other, but I say all that to say I am really leaning into and have been the things that do well in the garden, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't always have what you want. Can't always get what you want. All right, but the things that do well, I want to be obedient to them. Right. It doesn't mean that I can't work for some other things and help them do better in my garden, but it does well in the garden, and dang it, I'll be eating it. You know?
Here's the deal with kale. I'm gonna be blunt and honest with you. It tastes like shit. Okay.
Yeah, I know that's how you feel about it.
In the world of greens, it's at the bottom. And I said that in a video recently. Somebody's like, "Well, you need to try the curly kale." And I'm like, "That's the last damn thing I need to do because on this show I hate curly kale."
Let me say this: you got to work to enjoy kale.
Yeah,
like,
that's
let's not
like,
pretend.
and I don't grow food to force myself to like it. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, how can I expect my son to eat it if I'm sitting here like choking it down? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, the best thing is you have plenty of other things that you enjoy. Listen, this is
exactly.
what I know for sure. I was watching some video and he talked about the tens of thousands of like edible plants like that are available. This is they're doing a special for this couple growing in Hawaii, and he talked about like, and we eat 30 or 40 of them, kind of as a part of our normal diet. We haven't talked about this in quite a long time. A part of the garden, like in my head now, I keep on saying, we got food at home. We got food at home. We got food at home. And I am forcing myself. I wanted to go and get a sub sandwich today,
Yeah.
like, but I had some pasta, which is enjoyable because I had broccoli from the garden that I wanted to eat through, right? And that's what I wanted, how I wanted to eat it. That
Yeah.
broccoli wasn't going to go in that sub sandwich. So there
I
are
bet it
some
would be good as
things.
hell on that sub sandwich if you saute it,
Huh.
put it on there. Good night. Here it is. We don't do recipes of the day, but I just came up with one. Chicken, broccoli and soy sauce with caramelized onions. What else would be good? Mushrooms,
Mm-hmm.
and then A provolone cheese on top, maybe. Man, that would be
On a
fire.
sandwich.
Like
Yeah,
that sounds good, don't it?
I
Look,
was
you about
mad
to
at
go out to
myself.
the store and buy some sub rolls now, aren't you?
Listen, you know I get them.
You know.
I was mad at myself because listen, I sautéed some mushrooms and I said, "Damn it, why haven't I figured out how to grow mushrooms yet?" Uh, like that was in the pasta too. It was just for reference. It's with garden pesto because I took it out of the freezer and I got to basically get through it. I froze it in 8-ounce container, no, 12-ounce container, way too big of a serving size. So this is the second day I'm eating pesto pasta with some faux crab meat, broccoli from the garden, sauteed mushrooms, and I did a little bit of shallots from the garden as well. Which wait, wait for the announcement about the shallots that I grew this year. We'll get
Okay.
there. Not in
Okay.
this episode, but in a future episode.
I'm on the edge of my seat as we speak.
I know it's so exciting.
All right. So my last one is rutabaga.
Mm.
I start those by seed. I give them 1 month in the seed cell, and then I plant them out. And it they should be ready. We hope around Christmas time. So last year I threatened not to do turnips, and I did. And I don't know what I'm gonna do as far as turnips go this year. My family doesn't enjoy turnips as much, but it's just one of those that does really well in the garden. We can use the greens for other things and stuff like that. Rutabaga is just a lot better in my mind. I think I don't think enough people grow rutabaga. Look, if y'all grow rutabaga and you're watching this, comment below what type of rutabaga you grow, because
Rutabaga once, and I really enjoyed it, but it was such a longer crop for me.
but you get so much
And
more out of it.
yeah, so I grew it in the spring when I grew it. There's so many other things that I mean, this isn't a all of the things we're growing in the fall list, but
No,
I feel like there's so many other things I want to jump in and mention. Um, I also just came up with a 2026 garden goal it's been inspired by you.
write your list. Start
There's
your
no
list
way I'm gonna
now.
remember that.
Start your list now, because as soon as we do our annual garden goals, you'll be like, I forgot it. I remember I said it in July. I'm like, well, damn. And don't expect me to remember it.
No, 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 no.
So yeah, rutabaga is one of them. Yeah, and look, real quick, I know we went way over. To get these crops going in the right direction, add shade, water a lot, fertilize heavy. Okay, those are really, really important. Your garden's going to be depleted. You need to counteract that. Okay. All right. With that being said, let me do this. Let's tell you all about the Planter app. So the Planter app is a sponsor of this show, and I just got a notification. First of all, while I look for the notification, you can get a link below. So you absolutely want to do that. Get yourself a discount on the Planter app. It is crucial to planting a garden, which is what we are all about on here. And so the gentleman who created the Planter app sent me a thing about an update. He's added a whole new bunch of background and foreground options to the app, including the ability to have multiple foregrounds on the same square. So what does that mean? You can have pots, you can put hoses on there, trellises and pots, stuff like that. Very, very useful. It's so visual. It's very useful. And there's going to be different kinds of foregrounds coming soon, including multi-square foregrounds. So he's really focusing on this. And this was actually an issue I had way early on where I had pots that I wanted to put trellises on, but I couldn't put that image in there so that when I came back to my template, it wouldn't be there. So that is there. So just keep going, keep working at it, and get yourself the Planter app. It's available on the Google and Apple Play Store, and that is the PLANTER app. And get the link below to get yourself a hefty discount on the lifetime membership of the only gardening app that we recommend that will absolutely be continued to be updated. I've had it for, I just realized I had it for like 5 years, and it continues to get decent quality updates, improving it. So I was happy with it on day one. So there you go.
I since I just got over the hump of the initial mad dash of my spring planting had been done, my summer planting. Now it's just like tuck a little something in here. In my mind, I'm out 1 day a week planting something versus like what felt like every day. But anywho, I went in and I saved my 2025 garden layout in the planter wrap as a new copy of it as actual. So I didn't do this in previous years, but I wanted to keep track of what I had planned to do, which was with the original 2025 version. And then I saved a copy of that and made the adjustments for what I actually did. There's something to be studied there,
Yeah.
how far apart I am, which there's a whole separate conversation that young Ben and I will have during our counseling session off air.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and I also just realized that Peter added pavers too
Yep.
as a part of one. Yeah,
So there's a lot
dude.
going in there. Okay. So we need to do the question of the day. We don't usually do this, but we feel like it can benefit the group. So Jennifer put on the Facebook community garden page, which is free to join. Come join us.
Hey, Jennifer.
The lag time is getting shorter, ladies and gentlemen. But she
Well, I mean,
writes.
if you could see the look that young being gave me.
So Jennifer writes in here. She said, "In the process of harvesting onions, I'm pretty sure I would benefit from a vacuum sealer. Does
Mhm.
anyone have one that they love?" Simple question, but in today's world, very difficult to execute appropriately, I believe.
Jennifer just reminded me of the onions that I noticed that are already falling over that I missed the opportunity to harvest before this last 2 days of rain, and now I'm like, dang it. And so, yeah, I was gonna vacuum seal mine. I haven't harvested my onions yet.
Yeah. I've been
Um,
vacuum sealing a lot actually recently. I haven't done it in a while, but I've gotten back into freezing this year, and it's a
yeah,
curse because I know we're gonna
I'm
get a hurricane and we're gonna lose it, but I'm gonna deal with it.
I'm not a fan of the all of the plastic, and I don't normally say that, but it's really the most efficient way to freeze something like that that has such a high water content. So like I did vacuum sealing of peppers, again, another high water content, and they're beautiful. Again, you're not going to eat them raw. They're beautiful once you pull them out. So in the shop, as Young Ben alluded to at the beginning of the episode, we have a recommendation for a vacuum sealer.
Yeah,
And
we've
it's one
got
of
a
those things where when you buy it, you kind of want to buy it and have it for a bunch of years versus buying one every few years. So
we've
not
got the
only is it
what is it called? It's the food saver.
Yeah,
That's what we
that's the
have
one
in
that's in the
there.
shop.
Um,
And it's had more staying power for you than the one that I have. I'm only on year 5 of the one that I have, and it's not been in heavy use.
yeah, we've gone
So
through periods with ours.
mhm,
Like I said, I haven't used it much in the past year or so, but we it's a food saver, the original brand, and it's lasted for a decade, over a decade
mhm,
at this point.
mhm.
I believe at this point, 12 years. I did a video recently about saving money in the garden, and
That's hard.
I was talking about look, I'm cheap, I get it, but sometimes you gotta buy quality because I
Mhm,
made that
mhm.
initial investment and 12 years later, still going strong. I think
Yeah.
the other day my wife froze 12, no, 15 bags of peppers. We froze, um, in 12 years in the making. So it's solid. Now, the tip I will say is you'll get your food saver and it'll typically come with like a roll of bags. And I agree
Mhm.
with you on the plastic, but it ain't no damn different than going to the store and buying the plastic. You know,
Well, I have a lot of glass dishes, and not a lot meaning like I don't have 60, but I have quite a few glass dishes that I can actually freeze. You can freeze in mason jars, just make sure that it's a straight up and down one is the recommendation versus the one that has the curve. But it doesn't get the air out like, when you're vacuum sealing it.
yeah.
And that is what you're trying to avoid, that additional air. basically getting like the equivalent of freezer burn, like that. The vacuum sealer solves that.
It does.
So I'm willing to I
Solves.
don't say
I mean,
sacrifice.
that's a key word. It solves it.
Hmm.
That's the terminology we need to use. Yeah, it is very good. So the key is though, you don't have to buy. You have to spend the money on the vacuum sealer, but you don't have to necessarily buy the expensive bags. You can get a bulk roll of them and then cut them down to your size that you want. So the vacuum sealer, it seals the bags, it burns them, seals them. So they typically have a seal button and then a vacuum button. The vacuum button will vacuum and seal. The seal button will just seal. So you put one in, seal it, put all your stuff in, and then you go from there. The trick with freezing, especially anything that we have come out of the garden has water in it, is make your bag, pack your bag, and then pre-freeze your bag. And
Mm-hmm.
then pull your bag out and seal it. Because if you don't, what happens is as that vacuum process goes on, what it does is it sucks the water out of it. And then that in itself will cause it not to seal appropriately. So that's how we so we take like a baking sheet and we'll lay all of our bags on there. We'll kind of stack them on there so they're not crushed too weird or anything like that. And then we do it. But that food saver, man, I got to tell you, I bought one. You can get it on our Amazon store. It's on there, so you can go get it. Today's Prime Day or whatever, so it's on sale. But it'll go on sale again. You can get them at Costco or whatever, too. Obviously, we don't get anything if you get it from Costco, so please buy it from Amazon. But it's one of those things that really, it's a good option to have. And the one that I have actually has a port on it to suck the air out of mason jars. But I didn't want to buy the
Mine
$30
does
top
too.
for the mason jars. So,
Same, same.
you know,
Yeah, the one thing I have the role of the bags, so the non-branded roll of bags. And what I end up doing sometimes is I will seal something up in a much larger cutout of the bag. So whenever I do cut it to open it, I can reuse that bag because now again, maybe it's enough to lay a full ear of corn straight across, right? From top to bottom. And so I'll give it like almost maybe half more of that space, if that makes sense.
yeah,
So if it's this big on camera, then that's the size that I really need. I do that big on camera. So then I'll cut it. And so I still have enough bag left, enough viable bag left to seal something else up. And again, it takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more planning, but I am at least getting two uses minimally out of that.
yeah,
One of the things that I love about, especially once you start to preserve and at this level, is onions are so great because you kind of, I mean, you're not freezing 4 or 5 bags necessarily, like cups of onions. Like anything you're freezing, you're gonna use. Like the pesto that I mentioned. I don't know where am I mean, I don't know if I could eat more pesto. Like,
yeah. You almost have to force
so again,
yourself to eat it.
I learned the lesson very quickly. It was too large of a serving, like too large of a container. But for onions and stuff like that, peppers, it kind of doesn't matter.
Well,
Once you
I'll
open it up,
take.
you'll figure out how you could use them.
Well, we freeze ours in portions. So
Yes, I mean,
when we did these, I think she froze 2 peppers per bag.
hmm.
And then what we've also done too is we'll take, you take your roll and then we'll cut it in half lengthways, not the whole roll, but whatever. And then we'll seal both insides of it and make smaller bags. So we've done that before. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it works. It's just part of the effort that goes into it. I do.
Yeah, sometimes I freeze them inside of the bag. Sometimes I just do everything on a cookie sheet. And then, like again, the raw vegetable on a cookie sheet. And then I put them
I
in the
never
bag
do
and
that.
freeze them.
That actually might work out well.
Yeah, and I've done it's a little bit odd because of the shape, but I've done stuffed bell peppers, like
Yeah.
completely cooked stuffed bell peppers, and then actually froze those using a vacuum sealer.
Yeah, because
Works
I
out
mean that's
wonderful.
the thing with freezing is you can freeze meals, just pre-freeze
Hmm.
them before you seal them, and you're good.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it is an odd shape, but they form. The only thing is when you're cutting your bags, give yourself extra space.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's really important to do. So I hope that helps. I did recommend on there to get the food saver, and she was like, "Oh, you've had it for 10 plus years. I got one." So But other people that need one, there's,
Mhm.
the reason why we wanted to do this is because in today's world, there are so many options. Like if you go to Amazon, you can get some straight crap. The price is very attractive, but it just doesn't work. So
The
food
number of
saver.
people I say in my life, just send me the link.
Yeah.
Just send me the link.
Just send me the link, what you recommend.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And that's the way to go. So, anyways, thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad you got the food saver. I hope you like it. And anybody else looking to freeze, get yourself a food saver. Don't get the Benzomatic or the bench around whatever it is. Get yourself a good one and go from there. There's probably something even better than that. I just don't know what that is.
Mhm.
So, and I think if we don't have the bags on there, they'll be on there by the time this is airs. So we'll put the bags on there too for you, because that is the hidden cost. If you buy that
Yeah,
food saver bag, that's where they make up
yeah.
for it on the back end, boy. Uh. So there you go. Thank you, Jennifer. But you know what to plant early. You know what to get in the ground. You know when to start your fall garden. Trust us. We're going to help you get it right and get your garden going in the right direction for fall. And you know exactly what food saver to get. Not food saver, vacuum sealer. But if you'd like to be support the show, you can do so by doing everything we mentioned at the beginning. Come get some seeds from us. We've got that deal going on right now. We would love to send you some seeds. We want you to have a beautiful backyard garden, and that is our goal. But until next time, everybody, remember, we do two things. We learn to grow, and we grow for change.
See ya.